This is going to take place on Yansu. Hope you've been having fun. Anyone who's watching this, either live or in person with me. This is a cast of the Chobo Team League, the match between Guns and Roaches and Alloy eSports. This is the ace match, which is a best of 3. And although it was actually unnecessary, as Guns N' Roaches has already won on the week with 5 wins, counting their 2 walkover wins. We do have bragging rights, and I believe there's still points in the final total that do matter. And besides that, every single game is always played, because these games are played in, well, whenever the players have time. We aren't pro players. We don't, all get together and play our tournaments right at once. We play when we have time. Anyway, we're already into the game, it looks like, so I better get my scene switched and get into that for you. So, spawning in the lower left on Yansu, we have as our Teal Terran, Ninkazi. Took first aim by defending a blink all-in and then finishing up with a great bio push, but lost the second to a non-blink all-in that was just a good, 5 gates on 2 bases and just a lot of Protoss and not enough Terran troops built yet. So, spawning in the upper right, we have Endersword. Listed clan is IDGI, but he's actually playing for Alloy eSports today. I don't really know what IDGI is. If you feel like telling me Endersword, I'll get it right every other cast. Anyway, we've got a gateway coming down for Endersword already. Wrong button. There we go, production tab. Huh. I know how to observe, really. And he does have a probe already scouting into Ninkazi's base, running around and being annoying. As Ninkazi's getting down that typical first barracks. As usual, he doesn't tend to go for Reapers, or at least he hasn't when we've been watching him so far. Just goes immediately into Marine production and usually into a very fast second base, at least so far. Probe still running around, shooting the probe. Getting a full scout, seeing that Ninkazi is in fact doing the same thing he's done every game so far. Back home, we have a Cyber Core coming down for Endersword. That probe deciding it's finally time to get out of there, as Ninkazi, as soon as he sees the probe has left, is now putting down his second base on the low ground. Expanding really quickly and remaining entirely on minerals so far, which has been his strategy every game. He also has a little eBay block going down here on Endersword's side of the map. Probe's starting to try to work on that SCV, building it. Actually allows it to finish, which isn't nearly as efficient. See, how an eBay block is usually done in pro games is you get the eBay almost completely finished, and then you cancel it as it's just about to be destroyed to make it cost the least amount of resources. But allowing it to finish isn't that much of a mistake, and it's still pretty darn annoying for Endersword not being able to take his Nexus. And the SCV even gets away. So, nobody with any kills yet. Have Endersword's Mothership Core on the way, and that first Stalker starting to work on that eBay. Another Zealot just out, and another one on the way. Zealot, yep, it's going to go down and work on that eBay as well. It'll be cleared up pretty quick. 3 gateways so far for Endersword with the frontal boost coming down to get that warp gate tech up faster. Mining lots of gas. In fact, you know, full saturation on one base at this point. And Ninkazi is finally taking his gas. Still hasn't done anything with it, but at least he's taking gas. Building up some bunkers. Starting to build a pretty good wall up here. And just lots of Marines. Now getting both tech labs, so perhaps trying to do a fast upgrade timing or just get out a ton of Marauders. 2 tech labs and a reactor going down onto those 3 barracks that he has so far. And his factory now coming up as well. Robo almost finished back on Endersword's side of the map, as well as that warp gate tech being done. There is a probe right in the middle of the map, watching out on that Zelnaga watchtower. Available for proxy pylon placement, I'm sure we'll see soon enough. Stim and concussive shells coming down for our Terran player, as well as a few Marauders, a few Marines. Observer coming out of that Robo Bay first, just finished up. The other side of the map for Endersword. And using a hallucinated Phoenix to get a scout off. Gets a full scout of the Terran base, sees everything, literally everything. Maybe not the, you know, the very front bunkers, but a full scout of anything that really matters. Got an Immortal on the way back home for Endersword, as well as a starport just about done for a Terran player, and an eBay that's actually at home rather than being used to block expansion. Reactor built on the factory, not sure if it's going to end up use the reactor the starport has. I've seen so often in these bio builds. It's a very typical way of doing things. Unless, of course, you're playing against Zerg that use that reactor to build some Hellions and then do the switch. In the meantime, we've got a robotic station. Robotic station. So we're going to see some Colossi come out pretty quick. Well, it's +1 ground armor, most of the way done. Whereas our Terran player now has 2 engineering bays. He's researching +1/+1 and combat shields. The individual upgrades. Immediately starts up extended thermal lance as soon as that roto is done, as well as his first Colossus. And a Twilight Council. So, go for all the tech paths! That's what we have out of Endersword. Except Stargate. No Stargate yet. In the meantime, we have Ninkazi sending out a medevac with a little drop force. Mostly Marauders and a few Marines. 3 Marauders, 2 Marines. See what he can get done with that. Actually, he's doing a double drop. 2 drop. 2 medevacs flying around. This one was scouted by that observer, so he doesn't know it's been scouted. Immediately, the Stalker's warping it under it, so it actually turns tail and runs. Or it just hangs out there where the other drop actually goes in. Starting to take down some of these probes, but that Colossus doesn't maintain they're not going to be long for this world. Yep, picks up most of it. Doesn't quite get away. Taken out by that photon overcharge is thrown down. At the very least, he did get up the photon overcharge, but it's out of place though. And the other drop shot comes down. Medevac is down, but doing a little bit of damage with these Marauders. Not that much though. Pretty good defense by Endersword overall. Taking down that double drop with minimal losses. See what the resources lost looks like. Yeah, 1,500 for Ninkazi, 575 for Endersword, so that went much more in Endersword's favor. And that mothership core already, you know, is more than enough to make another photon overcharge. His energy was completely full when that started, so. Things looking pretty good for Endersword at this point. Ninkazi may be up a little bit of supply, but the tech advantage is definitely on Endersword's side. Vikings coming out to try to deal with those Colossi, but Templar Archives is almost done. Charge on the way as well. So we're probably going to see the switch into Charge Loud Archon if it goes that long. 4 more gateways on the way for Endersword as well. As well as a second forge. Yep, Storm starts as soon as that Templar Archives finishes. Second forge finishes up. As well as those gateways. Siege tank coming out for Ninkazi, having dropped a tech lab onto that factory. Also has a few siege tanks already, so kind of turtling up there. Interesting to see him actually use the drop supply so heavily. We've got 4 of these with supply actually dropped onto them rather than building more and more supply depots. Generally much more efficient to use that energy for either scans or mules, as oftentimes scans are extremely useful and mules are worth 300 minerals. So other than the time, you're wasting 200 minerals anytime you drop supply. Anyway, so another scout coming across for Endersword has hallucinated another phoenix. We'll see what it can see. Probably not going to see that much because it's going to fly over Marines. It does stay far enough away that it doesn't go down. It sees what the front door looks like, which is pretty well fortified, frankly. Got a few more racks on the way for Ninkazi, going into really heavy marine production, or marine armor rod, whichever he chooses. And another command center coming down, so perhaps gonna try to take a third base on. So third base. Actually had a third base just finished, and is going to drop immediately. It actually loses his third, although not quite. It loses all of its shields, and then the drop force has to be picked up as Endersword shows up. Supply pretty close to equal for both players at this point. But I've got to give the edge to Endersword here. He's got way better tech. That's what it really comes down to. His tech advantage is severe at this point. You know, both players, you know, we've got +2 armor for Endersword, or 1/1 for Ninkazi, which, you know, about equals out, but +3 EN, +1 on the way for our Protoss player. Looks like a cloak coming in for, personal cloaking, so that's for, or ghost, so we've actually got a Ghost Academy down, which might actually help close a lot of that tech gap that I've been talking about. So we are going to see ghosts out of Ninkazi. No ghosts here yet, but tech labs added to those new barracks indicate that they're going to start producing ghosts pretty quick, especially with that personal cloaking on the way. And 2-2 on the way for our Terran player. Endersword getting blinked because why not? It's cheap. And another Colossus almost out of that robo. So another little drop up here running around for Ninkazi. Just running around and gonna try to take down the actually try to take down the Templar Archives. And nothing here to defend it. The whole army out of place. It looks like they're going to get the Templar Archives before they get taken down. That could definitely slow some things down for Endersword, who I don't believe has Templar on the map. Yep, Templar Archives goes down. Now, I do think he actually did finish Storm before that happened, but he is going to have to rebuild another Templar before he actually gets some Templar out. Now, that drop was destroyed when it found some cannons trying to escape, but still, the drop actually did some damage. Not sure if it's as much as it cost, though. In the meantime, we have a giant force moving out from our Terran player. Lots of bio, very heavy into the Marauders rather than the Marines, but if they need to fire at anything in the air, well, that's a lot of Vikings. Not that we've really seen much of many air units. But rather than moving out, it's actually there to protect a third base, which is just landing. However, Endersword, that definitely is a move out. Moving up to take that watchtower, see what they can see. They'll see nothing. Whole lot of nothing. Probably gonna warp in pylon over at the other one. That I mentioned way earlier. So they're gonna move over to the other watchtower for the moment. All those Vikings coming out, they might catch this one Colossus out of place. They do actually take down all of its shields, and the siege tanks are starting to work on those stalkers to take one down. So we got the armies kind of squaring off in the middle of the map, and this the ace game of the ace match this week. Although Guns N' Roaches has already won in score for the week. Looks like another drop going around for Ninkazi. Dropping right into his third base. Base of Endersword. Nothing really taken down yet. Trying to take down that Nexus. These others being worked in, but that's not going to be enough. That Nexus is gone. And they actually just pick up and leave as soon as the Nexus is gone. One Templar there, but without enough energy for a storm or even a feedback, can't really do anything. As that drop force goes and hangs out, and a few cannons being added on to try to prevent that sort of thing in the future. After that, Endersword decides it is time to move the army back across the map, at the very least to continue to hold that center area, and is making a new base down here for this fourth base. These cannons are taken out before they warp in, because this drop force comes back, bringing Endersword's army back to deal with it. They do get this base again. It wasn't even cancelled, so they get the mineral pickup there. And most of that drop force was lost. Only 3 Marauders in, 1 medevac escaping, but they did a lot of damage. That was a really effective drop. Both taking down the base once and then taking it down again while it was trying to reform. Even not getting cancel. Looks like they may get this medevac for free, though. Yep, Blink Stalkers. Take down that medevac. Nothing more than having Blink forward. And another proxy pylon on the way there. For Endersword. Wow, that's a lot of racks. 6 more racks coming down for Ninkazi. As both players are pretty much supply max at this point, may as well do something, and that something seems to be make sure he can remax immediately for Ninkazi. Got level 2 shield upgrades, as well as level 3 ground weapons coming in for our Protoss player, so our Protoss player quickly approaching 333. Our Terran player at 3-2, but seeming to stay at 3-2. No plus 3 armor on the way. Probably going to stay. Okay, we have an engagement going on down here as a ghost got an EMP off on most of this army. It was then killed due to observers, but still, this army is pretty much without shields and has lost, and, you know, Lost fair bits of energy on the energy-bearing units. So Ghost trying to fight with some guerrilla tactics. Pretty much dying for free before I agree with it. So these siege tanks are not quite enough to hold back this large Protoss force now. This massive Vikings is really helpful taking down Town 1 Colossus right away, but these Stalkers are also taking down the Vikings and the Vikings try to take down the Colossus. Colossus still building games forward even with all these Vikings to take them down. See Colossi going down, see Vikings Storms going down, just everything going on. Quite a fight happening. It's all over this base. Marine after Marine, Marauder after Marauder falling as the supply tide goes steadily into Endersword's favor. Another Ghost going down. There just weren't enough Ghosts yet to deal with this kind of a Protoss force. Vikings even landing to try to do what they can against these ground forces, but really this is going to be it. The remaining forces, even though there aren't that much on either side, but the remaining forces for our Protoss players is way too much for Ninkazi. And with the ability to immediately reinforce, it looks like this push just isn't going to end. Most of those extra racks even having been taken out. I'd like to pause for a minute, finish taking out those extra racks and anything coming out of them. At this point, our Protoss player with a 70 supply lead. You know, the game was over after that push. The game is already over. But Ninkazi doesn't know that. He doesn't know that he's that far behind. Taking down this proxy pylon as the base tries to land at this location, but at least the base landing is going to be scouted. So he's going to know that, and perhaps know that it's possibly a good time to move out. Got those few Marines and Marauders over there, but Endersword just still chilling with his army, waiting for more Colossi to come join. 2 more Colossi there on the way. I think he must have doubled up his robos. Yeah, actually he's up to 3. And a ton of Templar just worked into the Archons. As this Protoss force decides this is now the time to move forward, heading right into the night. And this... it's gonna be. Ninkazi scans, see he's up against, but there's nothing he can do against that force. I mean, he just does not have anything. He's got, 44 army supply, but that is a gigantic Protoss. Start taking on this orbital command. The SCVs go to repair it, which won't really do much except give him a little more time. All these Marines getting taken out as soon as they get in range of the lasers of all those Colossi. This base is gone. All the SCVs at it gone. This base died as well during that time. So he's down to just his main base, which I believe is almost completely mined out. Yeah, completely mined out, in fact. He's got nothing. He even has 0 minerals. 0. Absolutely nothing. Behind this Endersword even takes in the base. Just in case there's something he hasn't scouted. The game is over. That base trying to escape and, land in Mule so it can make some money so it can do something, but that's not going to help. There's just not enough to do anything here. More and more warpins coming in, more and more Archons being warped. Absolutely nothing that Ninkazi can do to come back. All of his production is now going to be loud. All of his tech structures, he's literally got nothing other than, these random racks that were spared earlier, supply depots, and, and the two medevacs full of a few SCVs and troops. Trying to go in. I guess he's trying to do what damage he can before he goes down. Gotta give it to Ninkazi. That guy just never gives up. Even when the game is completely done, he doesn't give up. He keeps trying, he keeps fighting to see if he can do something. And he actually does manage to snipe off a base here. Without losing anything, but he's just good back healing. So score one for him, I guess, but behind that, he's got nothing. He's got these racks trying to run away from the Protoss army. Protoss army continuing up there. He has landed his base in this little island base. It is, you know, if you want to make a last try of it, that is the way to do it. You go hide behind the island base. But he just GG's out. He knows this game is over. There's no way he can do anything. And that's it. So, we've got Endersword taking that ace match, giving another point to Ella eSports. However, Guns and Roaches won this week 5-3. That'll be it for my casting today. Or, yeah, I don't think I have enough time to do another whole set. So that'll be it for my casting today. I hope you've enjoyed it, anyone watching, either live or via my VODs. So, have a good one.